Hello guys, please subscribe to the channel and smash the like button so that every other person can see the content and also benefit from it. Thank you. Hi Jennifer.
Oh, hi, Adekunle.
Hi.
How are you?
Good afternoon. So we are expecting some of our people to join, so we can actually quick start. Okay. I think we can actually. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think we can actually, they are trying to join. So they'll be joining us while we actually progress on the program. And we are going to be providing the record version for them also to access. So because of time, and then we don't want to actually take much of your time.
No,
Um,
that's fine.
so I will quickly go straight to it. So guys, you're welcome to another edition of the role model. And today we are having a very distinguished guest in our midst. So we're going to be hosting an international recruitment business leader who is also a talent acquisition director. And I may not be able to go over all the details. I think she's going to be also putting some input into that. And she's also an author and employability specialist. So she's also an advocate with a career spanning across the UK, Europe, Middle East, North America, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So we're going to be welcoming Jennifer Oyelade into our midst. So Jennifer, it's our pleasure to have you on the role model.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
So let's dive into it. So I think I don't know if I did the introduction properly, and any other thing that you would like to add to it. Maybe we can start from that before we actually dive into the topic of the day.
Okay, I mean, you kind of covered it. So, as you rightfully said, I'm an international recruitment business leader. I'm an author, career mentor. I'm also a personal brand strategist from a corporate perspective. I wear quite a lot of hats, to be quite fair. So sometimes when I'm introducing myself, I just have to try and be very, just try to be very brief. So, like you rightfully said, my career spanned between the UK, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and North America. Yeah, and in terms of sector, I've done everything from, I don't even know, everything from HR to aviation to IT to financial services, hospitality, name it. I've probably done something in that industry at some point in my career, oil and gas, name it. I've probably done it at some point. So yeah, so it's very good to come on here and not just speak about networking, but just to throw in anything kind of career advice and anything else to kind of help people navigate. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Wow. Yeah, very interesting. And we are going to be having a discussion center around the topic of discussion. And again, there will be also time for questions and answers. And joining me today is also our co-host. I'm having Adebisi also and Abraham Ario. So we are going to be listening first to the topic of the day. And then after that, we'll be asking some questions around that. And hopefully we'll have more people joining us. And perhaps we can actually finish all the questions and then because of time. So any other question, I want to actually create or ask for your indulgence so that we will be able to pass across those questions to you. And then maybe you will do justice to them. So the other subsequent questions that we're going to be having also on the channel. So I wish there will be avenue also for you to help us to actually address them. Okay, so thank you.
Okay, so I think the topic is more about networking and how to overcome the difficulties of networking, so to say. So firstly, you have to identify what exactly is your objective to networking. So what are you hoping to achieve by reaching out to various counterparts? So first and foremost, you have to identify, is it from a employment perspective, or are you just trying to expand on your network in terms of, just making, friends in the industry, or you want to tap into their knowledge? You have to identify exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve, first and foremost. Then, secondly, you have to look at yourself as a professional in terms of, what do I have to offer, as well as what do I have to gain? Now, it doesn't have to be something so humongous. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't have that much experience, or I don't have, I don't have anything that I feel that I have to offer. Well, I'll tell you that you always do. Everybody always has something to offer. It could be some industry advice, it could be things that you've experienced within your career, or it could be something you've experienced from a educational perspective, because we don't know everything. But it's now how to package that as a value to whoever you're trying to reach out to. So let me give you an example from an employment perspective. So if I'm let's take away all the fancy titles that I have. If I'm just maybe like a graduate who's in HR, and I've noticed that a lot of entry level professionals are looking to get into IT. Now I can reach out to a IT leader, business leader, or I can reach out to somebody within the IT profession and say to them, look, looking at the statistics, I can see that 70% of people want to get into the IT industry. Have you thought about having an apprenticeship or a graduate scheme for these IT professionals to come into your organization, for example? So that's value that you're giving. That's something that they may not know because they're not on ground. So you have to first and foremost strategically position yourself to say, what kind of value can I add? This is why you can research, look into business intelligence, like look into your sector and say, what information can I bring out that I can position to someone and say, this is something of value, right? Now, in terms of from a mentoring perspective, if you're looking for a mentor in the industry, you have to show that you know about them before you come to them with what you want. So it has to be like a supply and demand type of methodology. So if I want to reach out to someone who I want to be a mentor, I have to research into them. What are their interests? A lot of these things can be found on LinkedIn. What are the things, what are their interests? What do they like? What are they passionate about? You can generally get an idea about that from their posts, and say, and if you're trying to reach out to them, the kind of line you should come from, not the, hi, my name is Jennifer, I have a 2-1 in banking and finance, I was just wondering if you can be my mentor. If I get a message like that, I'm shutting it down straight away, because imagine how many messages you get that are literally saying the same thing. However, if you're reaching out to somebody from a networking perspective, you can say, oh, hi, Jennifer, I saw that you recently wrote a post about diversity and inclusion. It's actually a passion of mine. That it's something that I'm very, very interested in. I'm very passionate about it, so on. Is it a possibility, if you have a few minutes of time, to be able to kind of speak to me about it, because I want to develop my career in X? I'm more likely to respond to that kind of message because it's thought out. You've listened to what I do, you've read about what I do, and you are trying to connect with me, and not just doing a copy and paste and sending the same message to 25 billion different people. You're not going to get a response because you didn't think it through. So you have to be able to engage and connect with me. That's if you're trying to deal with people online, right? Now, from a from a engagement perspective, if you're trying to build your network, 90% of the people that you're trying to meet are not online, believe it or not. You have to try and invest in, putting yourself out there by going to networking events. These networking events don't necessarily have to be in your sector. So for example, someone like me who's into HR, I will go into an oil and gas event today. I'll go to an aviation event tomorrow. I would have put myself everywhere and anywhere, because you don't know exactly who you're going to meet in those environments and what even brought them there. I mean, some of the most tangible relationships I've built over my career are people that I have met in the most weirdest and randomest of places ever. You know, so you've got to be intentional about meeting people. And even when you're meeting people, don't hide away your talents or your gifts. Talk about projects you've done, what you've worked on, where, you know, don't be afraid to sell yourself in these environments. And it doesn't sound so much as a sales pitch. You're just telling people the value you can add. Because the truth of the matter is that people, what you put out there speaks for you in rooms where you're not there. So the more you network, the more you expand on the people you know. And if I have a vacancy, or if I have a project coming up, I will remember you. I'll say, oh yeah, I remember that guy, Abraham. I met him at so-and-so venue because he was doing, yes, let me connect you guys. And also, when you're networking, don't just leave it there. Follow up with an email every so often. When I put it in your calendar or in your phone, okay, follow up with so-and-so every like month or two, because things change with the people you meet. And I'm more likely to remember somebody who follows up with me regularly. And following up is not necessarily, oh, Sam, do you have a job for me? Do you have a job for me? No, no, no. Oh, I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Oh, I saw recently that you posted on A or you posted on B. You don't have to go down the approach that you're looking for something. You have to go down the approach of, I want to add value to you so that you can add value to me. Because in everything that we do, whether it's networking, whether it's in the professional space, it is a supply and demand. I can give you my value as a supply, and as a demand, you should want to have my expertise because I told you what I can do for your organization. So that's the kind of mindset you have to have, especially when you're networking. Be online, be in networking events. And the reason and the way to network as well is talk about, even online and when you go to networking events, talk about things that are relevant, not just to your sector, but to what's going on in the world now. That's the way you're going to engage people. They want to know your thought process. How do you come about your points A, B, and C? And those are conversation generators. You know, what you put out there generates conversation. So in a sense of whether it's from a something you read online that you want to share your thoughts on, or whether it's somebody that you've had conversations with, just ensure that whatever you'll do, however you come about your content, make sure that you present that in a networking environment. You know, and when you're networking, don't stick to your sector and your sector alone. Even if you're in IT, even if you're in healthcare, even if you're in hospitality, whatever your niche is, try to diversify the people that you meet or the people that you're trying to target. I mean, a common mistake that people make is say, okay, because I'm an accountant, so everybody that I should, you know, interact with should be an accountant or within the finance sector, which is a very jaded way of looking at things. Because if you really think about it, finance can be found in hospitality, finance can be found in IT, finance can be found in every single sector you can possibly think of. There is a finance department. So technically, you should be networking with professionals across the board, because you never know where your expertise would be needed. So networking for me is something that is very key to your professional development. You know, and if you're somebody who feels that, okay, I'm not really confident, I don't really have the, you know, the personality, or I don't have the confidence to actually go out and network, then again, you can start by engaging with posts on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the, I think that's like my favorite tool ever when it comes to networking, when it comes to meeting people from an online perspective. There's no professional that you cannot find on LinkedIn, whether they're board directors, whether they're CEOs, whether they're senior managers, even your peers. I always encourage people to use LinkedIn as an initial networking tool. And the good thing about LinkedIn is that they always share events that are going on in your area, in your space. And even from, you know, LinkedIn, you see webinars like this, seminars, podcasts. A lot of them have breakout rooms where you can actually interact with various professionals to be able to, you know, tap into their knowledge and also use that knowledge to then develop content that will engage professionals to want to interact with you. So networking is not just about how many connections you make. As they always say, your network is your net worth. So navigate your way of networking as opposed to what am I trying to achieve. And in both elements, you have to have a mentor from a mentor perspective and also from an employment perspective. And all of those things can actually be joined into one. They can align very much so. Even as you're sharing content about what you know, an employer can see it, and a mentor can also see that you are proactively trying to grow your network. So networking is something that is not only just valuable to your professional development, but also to your personal development as an individual. Because if I'm looking for someone who bakes cakes, now I'll think in my network, okay, who do I know that bakes cakes? Yes, I remember there's this lady that I met on so-and-so that bakes cakes. You can actually create a whole event, a whole ecosystem based on your network. And the only way you keep that network alive is by constantly nurturing it. Friendships, just like relationships you have with whether it's your partner, your friends, your colleagues, they all are nurtured. You have to pour into them in order to get out from them. You can't just say, okay, yes, I met this guy or I met this lady and she's a senior banker and, we had a great conversation. What did that conversation lead to? Everything has to have an end. Whatever you start has to have an end, not an end in order for it to finish, but an end in terms of what was the objective of that relationship. There are a lot of people that I've met through the course of recruitment and just recruiting for various roles that have turned into one of my good friends today. I've been a bridesmaid at a wedding. I've been a godmother to some people's children, and all of that it probably has been through maybe reaching out to them because I had a vacancy, or they've come to me for career advice, or you never know where your relationships will take you. But it is something that you have to be intentional about developing. You have to literally, in my calendar, like in a week, at least I have like 3 people that I must reach out to at every given time. Even if you just say, hey, how are you doing? How's the family? It doesn't have to be so work focused. And another thing that you need to understand about networking is that apart from being professionals, we are people first and foremost before we're professionals. So try to get to understand the person behind their profession, because it means that in terms of being remembered, I'm not going to just remember you for knowing exactly what I do in my professional life, but why not? Oh, how are you? How are the kids? How's the family? Oh, and come from a very humane perspective, apart from, oh, what job do you have for me? Or, oh, is there any vacancies in your organization? Or, it just seems very one-sided. So networking has to be something that you're intentional about. And even when you want to position yourself for networking, I would suggest have a notepad or have a notebook where you write down, not necessarily write down what you want to achieve, and write down your value. So your value could be anything from, okay, I'm very good at data management. Oh, I've worked on so-and-so projects. Like, you have to brag about yourself. You have to write a list about all of the values and what you can bring. And that will also give you the confidence so that when you are going into a networking event, you have tangible things to sell. You have tangible things to sell about your expertise. I think a lot of people find networking daunting because they haven't gone into it with a plan. You have to have a plan. And you have to have a blueprint of yourself so that when you're walking into any networking event or when you're walking into any form of engagement, you know who you are. Because it's very easy for people to get lost in a networking event because they've tried to fit into every box, and you are not in every box. The only way you can understand where you fit is first and foremost understanding who you are and what you want to achieve, whether it's in the short term, whether it's in the long term. You have to have a plan as to what you want to achieve 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, or not even not even from a time frame perspective, but what do you want to get out of this networking event? What do you want to get out of this professional? What do you want to get out of this environment? Even when you're studying and you want to do a professional development course, you still have to have a plan. Why do I want to study? Why do I want to get an ACCA certification, or why do I want to do a Prince 2 project management? Everything you do, there has to be a justification for it. And even when you're reaching out to a mentor, you need to tell them what you want from them, not just, oh, I want you to be my mentor. Mentor in what? Or mentor for what? You have to have, there's something about them that you want to imbibe. And you don't even have to have one mentor. You're going to have 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, because all of them have different things to add to you. But you have to identify what you want to gain from each individual. If you speak to many leaders, they will tell you that, oh, this, from a mentoring professional perspective, from a spiritual head, we tap in different things from different people, and it's all of those things that make us rounded professionals. So with networking, I would always say, apart from going in with a plan and knowing what you want to achieve, you also need to reevaluate your network. Always. So, okay, I have somebody who is good at finance, I have a HR person, I have someone who's good in IT. Look at all the areas that you want to imbibe and see where the gaps are. Oh, but I don't know somebody who knows how to build a good website. Oh, actually, I don't know somebody who is good at social media. Or you always have to reevaluate your network according to where you are at, mentally and professionally. So, and as you are networking and gaining this information, you will also have to be a mentor to people who are coming behind you. And that helps you to grow as a professional as well. So as well as I am seeping from the well of people who are more senior than me, I'm taking those networking skills and I'm taking that information that I've gotten as from my mentor or from my peers, and I'm also mentoring those that are following behind me, because that also will strengthen your network. Because network are not always people that know more than you. You can also learn from people who are just coming up. I mean, I have 2 daughters, Dami is 10, Asaya is 8, and I even learn from them, and it's refreshing, because sometimes mentoring and growing your network is not necessarily, as I said, from junior to senior. You also learn from people behind you, and that's what they call reverse mentoring. Reverse mentoring meaning you learn from people who are older than you, and you learn from people who are younger than you, whether it's in profession or whether it's within age. And that is what will keep you, would I say competitive, or should I say this is what they will distinguish you in a very competitive market, by letting your network work for you from a reverse perspective. So it's really, really key that you understand your target market as well. So even as you are networking and leveraging on your network, you have to identify which area am I going into in terms of development, and try to keep it, I would also say, as I said, try to keep it as broad as possible. You also have to keep your intellect as broad as possible. So when I mean keeping your intellect as broad as possible is knowing a little bit about everything. And this is what's helped me in my career. So like I mentioned earlier, I've recruited in everything from aviation to oil and gas. Now, does it mean I'm a specialist in all of them? Of course not even remotely close. But I can hold a little bit of a conversation without getting overly technical. And that's because within my line of work, I've had to understand a few things in order to do my job. So, and I'm saying it to you guys, from a networking perspective, you need to know a little bit about everything to be able to network swiftly and successfully. So I can talk to somebody about IT and say, okay, are you a front end or are you a back end? oh, you're a programmer. Do you program in JavaScript? Do you profile in C#, .NET? Ask me what these information looks like on a laptop. I have no idea. I don't know what a JavaScript looks like. I don't know what a .NET looks like. You can put both of them in front of me and I will be none the wiser. But however, I understand what they do. So I know that if you're writing programs, you have to write it in a specific language. If you're working as a full stack developer, that means you develop from the front end, the UI, to the back end, to the server. Like I can have a general conversation, but ask me to be technical, and I'm like, well, like it's over my head. But I've learned a little bit about the sector to be able to engage, and anybody would appreciate that. Even though I'm not in your sector, I understand it. I can talk about when we're talking about healthcare. I can say, yes, I know an oncologist and a doctor. I can just generally navigate. So obviously I've got 5 minutes, I talk a lot, yeah. So to kind of summarize it in a nutshell is, be intentional about exactly who you're trying to target when you're networking. Understand who you are as a professional and what you want to do or be in from a short-term perspective to a long-term perspective. Be very broad about what you know. Be a sponge, learn, absorb, and also learn from people who are coming up behind you. Also learn from people who are more senior. Don't be afraid to post things on LinkedIn, navigate. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. Everything is just from your opinion. Your opinion is valid. You have a lot of things to offer. And again, leverage. Leverage on who you know, leverage on what you find out, and use that as your platform to progress, whether it's professionally or personally. So yeah, I think I tried to sum it up very quickly, but I hope I did well.
Yes, actually, the lot of even I was actually writing some stuff down. My book is all already filled up. So
Good.
yes, and again, I think AB, you would like to actually have some things to ask before we
Oh,
proceed again.
really, yeah. I actually had some things to ask, but
Sure.
majority of what I wanted to ask has already been addressed. Aside from the fact that there's a consideration to um, knowing people's mood at certain times, I would like her to just shed some I'd like you to share some more insight as to how to read people's mood and know when to
To approach
to
them at the right
address
time.
them. Yeah, at the right time.
Okay. So to be honest, right, there is no real right time or wrong time. What it is the content of how you approach someone will determine your response. So, for example, I could be having a really bad day, and then a message comes in that it's the thought process is there. So, for example, like I gave the example of, oh, I've read your article on X, Y, and Z. I found it very profound. I like the way you discussed A, B, C, D, and E, and based on that, it would be an honor if you could engage me about G, H, I, J, K, no matter whatever the mood anybody's in. That is something that would engage anybody at any point in time because you thought about it. You didn't just say, hi, my name is Abraham. I graduated from LASU year 2012. And blah, blah, blah. That one, whether I'm in a good mood or in a bad mood, you've lost me already. But the fact that you have taken the time to look into me as a person, and then from there, you've told me about yourself, I'm more likely to read or engage regardless of the time because you thought about it. It wasn't just you didn't copy and paste. I know that message was specifically for me because you've talked about something that I have done. But if you do the whole, my name is Abraham, blah, 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 I know you have copied it and stuck it in about 25 billion windows. So I'm just one of many. And this is probably why a lot of people don't get responses because the message you're sending is not tailorized to that particular person. So it's really more about your delivery as opposed to the timing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Good.
I guess like because of our time, right?
Yeah, but as I said, even on LinkedIn, I'll put my LinkedIn name in the chat, so you can actually reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm usually very good at responding to messages. I mean, I'm on other social media handles as well, but to be honest, I very rarely LinkedIn is my playground most times. Any other platform, I just post. I don't really check messages per se, but anything kind of professional wise, work wise, career, anything like that, that's the best place to reach me.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before we go, I would like to actually ask concerning I saw your book and I checked it out on Amazon.
Okay. Yes.
And it was a very good one, career connectioner, something in that regard.
Yeah, correctional facility,
So
yeah.
I think it is a very good piece especially for the community like us. So what does it entail? And then I want to ask to get it, because now in Nigeria there's issue with dollar buy-ins online and all those stuff. So I don't know if there's any provision that somebody can actually lay hands on it and pay for it.
So I'm currently so there's two things happening with this book. So I'm currently in the process of making it more of it was in an ebook and it was a hard copy. So the same thing that you were saying, a lot of people have asked me the same thing. So I'm in the process of making it more of an e-version, which I will share the link where you guys can pay for it and download it. I'm in the process of doing that. I also have another book coming out, but it's specifically for women. Unfortunately, it's about so that's Career Woman's Mantra. So that one is coming out before the end of the year. But with this correctional facility, once I think within the next few weeks, I should have a downloadable link where you can pay through PayPal or any other or what's the other platform? I know there's another platform that I'm working with so that it can be downloaded and paid for. But the kind of synopsis of the book, it really does help you navigate, from CV writing to interview preparation. I can actually do another session with you guys about any of those topics if you'd like. So from either CV writing or interview preparation. I've got slides, presentations ready to deliver. So, you guys can just let me know when you'd like to do it. I'll check my diary and I can do it for your community.
Wow, we actually love that. And I think you can actually give us your own more convenient time. So we work with that.
Okay.
So
no problem. So I'll check I can do it in the month I can definitely do it this month. So probably towards mid to late July. I'll definitely check my diary, but I would tentatively say maybe the last week in July or the third week in July. But I'll check my calendar to be specific about the date. I can still make it a Saturday as well, so that your community can have time to join.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll probably need about an hour.
Okay, no problems. So thanks so much for your time. We do appreciate it. And then, like you have said, we'll also be in touch and again have you again on the program. And again, like I said, there will be questions coming up following the program, so that we are going to pass it down to you so that we'll be able to answer those questions. Thank you once more.
No problem.
Okay.
You're welcome. Have a lovely weekend.
And you too. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
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 Hello guys, please subscribe to the channel and smash the like button so that every other person can see the content and also benefit from it. Thank you.